What's up, y'all?
It's good to see you. And, well,
What?
start over.
Good to see you.
We're not seeing
no,
you.
you're not starting over. You have to keep this in there.
Okay.
It's good to see y'all online, even though we're not actually seeing you, is what she's trying to say. She's really good at these intro things, even though she's been doing them for like 3 months now.
I just sound awkward. Okay. Anyways, it's been really good chatting with all of you and keeping in touch. Be sure to come to our lawn chair Wednesday services, 6:30 for students. Yeah, it's super fun. We have volleyball, gaga ball, bring your lawn chairs. We all just kind of gather around, hang out for a while, and then we have awesome messages. So be sure to come to those. They're every Wednesday. We started those back up. So hope to see you there. All right. Well, let's get it started.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That should give you enough time to cut that and then
Yes.
go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just do that little dissolve thing. Can you sing this one?
You're the God of this. Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna start with that. God of this city, you're the king of these people, you're the Lord of this nation. You're the light in this darkness, you're the hope to the hopeless, you're the peace to the restless. You are. Like our God, there is no one like our God. For greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done here. You're the Lord of creation, the creator of all things. You're the King above all kings. You are. You're the strength in our weakness. You're the love to the broken. You're the joy in the sadness. You are. There is no one like our God. There is no one like our God. And greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. Where glory shines with hearts alive, and praise for you and love for you in this city. And greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. And greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done here. There is no one like our God. There is no one like our God. There is no one like you, God. There is no one like you, God. Greater things have yet to come, and greater things are still to be done in this city. to be done here. Still to be done here.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire standing next to me. There was another in the waters holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there is a cross that bears the burden where another died for me. There is another in the fire. My dad left for dead beneath the water. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I won't bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire standing next to me. There is another in the waters holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding, the power set me free. There is a grave that holds nobody. Now that power lives in me. There is another in the fire. Oh, 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 and I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between wears thin. And I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. There is no other name than the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come what may in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire standing next to me. There is another in the waters holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I'll count the joy from every battle.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we're starting a new series titled Suffering. Today we're talking about consequences. We're talking about responsibility. We're talking about our actions in life. Today we're going to look at the result of our actions in life and what happens to us. See, so today we need to take off the blame game. We need to put away that it's his fault or her fault. We need to stop with the finger pointing. We just need to understand there's just you and me and the things that we've done in life. We're talking about the idea of cause and effect. If, for example, I throw my iPhone at a brick wall, what's going to happen? Well, most likely it's going to break. The cause of the phone breaking was me throwing it. The effect of me throwing it was what? The phone breaking. There's no one to blame but myself for doing that. Now, this is a very simplistic example of cause and effect, but I think it helps to illustrate or frame kind of our point of reference for today. Now, we're not simply talking about breaking of our smartphones. We're talking about something of a much larger scale, our relationship with God. You see, while God is in control of all things, suffering is a result of our rebellion against him. Now, this lesson is not a detailed lesson on the idea of actual suffering, right? That's kind of for a different topic, but this is a result of the suffering we encounter is because of the actions we took. So the cause and the effect, right? So we'll come back to that suffering on a later conversation or talk, but we're simply talking about how our actions will impact both us in the physical world and our spiritual world with God. So let's look at one of the biggest causes effects in the book of Bibles, right? This happened just 1,421 words into the Bible in the book of Genesis, right? Now the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, has 50 chapters in it. And in Genesis 1, there's 27 chapters and 786 words. And in Genesis 2, there's 25 chapters and about 635 words. So we find ourselves in Genesis 3. We're 410 words in Genesis 3, and Eve realizes the effect of what she had done. And then a few more lines down in Genesis 3, 446 words in the book, Adam realizes the effect of what he has done. And the question is, what did they do? Well, they rebelled against God. So how did they rebel against God? Well, in Genesis chapter 2, about 413 words in, God tells Adam, "But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Now, that seems fairly specific, right? Fairly straightforward, clear, not much wiggle room on what God told them to do or not to do. So here we are, 1,199 words into the first book of the Bible, and God has given the first rule. Simply put, do not eat from that tree. You can have anything else you want, but that one tree you can't have. Again, fairly straightforward. So 1,352 words into chapter 3, we see Eve eating from the tree. We're 153 words later, and we see Eve eating from the tree. Now remember, there's 66 books in the Bible, and we're only in chapter 3. It's going to be a long read. So the idea is cause and effect. What was the cause? The cause was sin. The cause was not listening. The cause was disobeying God as they ate from the tree. What was the effect? The effect was death. The effect was eternal separation from God by their own choice. They were simply told, do not eat from that one tree. And they chose to eat from that tree. So their actions brought sin into the world. Now, let's look at a few other examples that might be more relatable to us on a daily basis. So example 1, you've got Eric. Eric's got a busy day ahead of him. He knows he needs to get up early to get everything he does get done for him to make his appointments. So as he's preparing for bed, he forgets to set the alarm clock on his phone. What's going to happen? Well, most likely he's going to wake up late. What's going to be the effect? Well, he's not going to complete what he needs to complete. Whose fault is this? Eric's. The next example is Ashley. Ashley's doing her laundry. And as she separates her clothes into piles, she forgets to check her pockets. When she pulls them out of the pocket, she finds her iPhone still in her pocket. What's going to happen? Well, most likely the iPhone's not going to work. Whose fault would this be? Ashley's. Now, I hope in both examples you can see the simplicity of each person's actions and whose responsibility it was for what happened. Now, in both examples, you can see that decisions were made and there's actions that led from that decision. There's no one to blame but those two individuals. They have to take ownership for their mistakes. Now, the same idea is true about our relationship with Jesus. It will be us that walks away from God, not the other way around. Now, we've talked in the past about one of the greatest stories in the Bible that deals with suffering, is in the book of Job. See, the question is how do we deal with suffering while we're going through it? What is our response to God during our suffering? Do we take ownership of our mistakes? Or do we blame others or get angry with God for what it is that we're going through in life? Let's expand on this idea of cause and effect or how we take responsibility for our actions. So here's the deal. You come home one day and your parents say, hey, you get all A's on your report card and we're going to buy you a brand new car. Sounds like a great deal. I'd be excited. Although now I'm a parent, so I wouldn't be so excited, so I wouldn't make the deal. But simple equation. You get A's, you get a brand new car. At the end of the marking period, you come home, you open your report card up, and you see all A's. You're super jacked, like, I got it. I'm going to get a brand new car. This is great. You go find mom and dad, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to buy you a car. You'd be upset. You'd probably be angry. And rightfully so. Why? Because your parents didn't hold up their end of the deal. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. You kept up your end of the deal. You got all A's. They're not going to buy you a car. Not good. Now let's change the story a little bit. Same scenario, all A's, brand new car. You come home, you open your report card up, you got all A's and 1 B. Now, based on the rules, should you get the car? Would you be upset if your parents didn't buy you the car? If we're honest, the answer should be no, I shouldn't be upset because the deal was very simple. I get A's, they buy me a car. If I didn't keep my end of the deal, if I wasn't responsible for my actions, I can't blame my parents for not upholding their end of the deal. So the question we got to ask ourselves is, when you get mad at God, are you mad at God for holding up his end of the deal? Or are you mad at God because you didn't uphold your end of the deal? Let's take a moment and look at how Job responded to suffering. Now, let me give you the highlights of Job. I strongly encourage that you read Job. Well, I strongly encourage you read the Bible, but in this case, the book of Job. Now, Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned thousands of sheep and camels and oxen, and Job had a lot of stuff. Job was a wealthy, prosperous man. So in verses 1 to 18, this is what happens to Job. His sons, daughters, most of his servants, his camels are all gone. They're dead. He loses just about everything he has in life. It's gone in a blink of an eye. Everything, it's gone. So how does Job respond to this travesty? Well, it says in verse 20, at this, Job got up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. Yes, I'm halfway there, but I don't have a robe on. He then fell to the ground and worshiped, and he said, naked I come from my mother's womb, naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. Then in Job 2:7, he's afflicted with these painful sores from his head to his feet. And it's described as what's called black leprosy. And it's these giant boils or welt on the arm that are inflamed and irritating, and it's super, super itchy. Doesn't sound like a very fun thing to have. How does Job's wife support him? She says to Job, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die, she says. How does Job respond to his wife? He replies, you're talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept the good from God and not the trouble? Now, the next 40 chapters is Job's good friends convincing him that he should be mad at God for what's happened in his life. And then in Job 42:10, it says, Job prayed for his friends, and the Lord restored his fortune and gave him twice as much as he had before. And all of his brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him came to his house and ate with him. And then in verse 12, it says, the Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former. So the moral of the story is, in the trouble that Job was going through, he didn't turn his back on God. He didn't blame God. He wasn't angry at God for what was happening. And the same is true for us. When we encounter suffering and we encounter troubles in our lives, we're always quick to try to blame somebody else. Blame God for not being fair. Blame this person. Instead, how often do we look in the mirror and go, what did I do wrong? How did I fall short in my life? So where does this leave us today? Well, we live in a time when accountability for one's own action is not a thing anymore. We live in a world in which doing the right thing might not be culturally acceptable anymore. But we have to understand one very important thing, that there's never a time when it's okay to disobey God. That's just not a thing. We can't do that. Now, don't misunderstand me. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to fall short of the glory of God. We simply need to understand that when we do, we are responsible for our actions. We need to take ownership of the things that we do or the things that we don't do. We then need to return to God and confess our sins, the things that we've done. Ask God for forgiveness. Mend that relationship. Much like Job during the peak of his struggles, he never turned his back on God. He never lost faith in God. And in fact, at some points, I think his faith in God was stronger than ever, even when his wife and his friends told him that he should be angry at God. Now, there's an old saying that says it's easy to love God when things are good. I would add, it's more important to lean into God when your life is difficult or you're in the middle of a struggle. Now, we started our talk on the idea of cause and effect. And we need to understand that our actions have a direct result in our lives, both in the physical world and in our spiritual world, in our relationship with God. So what do? We need to learn to become better at using our actions, our intentions, right? And understanding that those actions or intentions are our responsibility, they're our choices. And we need to learn and understand that we have a greater impact on the outcome of our lives than those of us around us, than the culture that we live in. And we need to understand that the suffering that we deal with in our lives, most of it, is a direct result of us disobeying God. Much like Adam and Eve learned 1,300 words in the book of Genesis, when we disobey God, we are responsible for those actions. So as we close up, I'm going to leave you with these last two verses. Psalms 34:8. Taste and see the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. And in Deuteronomy 32:4, he is the rock. His works are perfect and in all ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong, upright and just is he. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys next week.